Hey cutie. Welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Laura. Hi, hello, welcome. I last updated my eye bank in December 2024. It's been a while. I have continued to track my eyeshadow usage, my consumption of eyeshadow, hitting pan, usage goals, this, that, and the other through this eyeshadow low-buy beauty bank that I've created for myself. So this project has really, and I don't even say project is such a loose term for this because it's really not a project. It's just something that I've created for myself to try to bring more balance and try to just use what I've already spent money on rather than just spending more money. It's been really eye-opening. So for myself, I am going to look down at my notes because I do have my notepad right here with my eyeshadow spreadsheet already up and listed. If you are someone that digests rules better by reading them, I have my spreadsheet linked down below. It's a Google Doc. I do have a very detailed spreadsheet. If anyone ever is curious how I set this out for myself, you can look at it there, and it's updated pretty much in real time, maybe a couple day delay just based on like life. Before I get into the rules for the eye bank, if you like to curb your eyeshadow consumption, if you like project pan, using your makeup, that kind of thing is your kind of thing, I'd love it if you hit subscribe so you can keep along on my journey and you can be a cutie too. I have different rules for gaining points and like acquiring points in the bank, and then I have rules for spending my points in my beauty bank. So I start usually with my gaining points. 8 different thresholds for gaining points in my beauty bank or my eyeshadow beauty bank. The first one is if I no pan left behind a palette. If you have missed my most recent no pan left behind, I did recently update that as well. I will link that in the cards. But basically, no pan left behind is if you have a palette and you use every single shade of eyeshadow within that palette. That is considered a no pan left behind. You have used every single eyeshadow within the collective palette. I know that seems super easy. When you have a pretty substantial eyeshadow collection, it can be pretty dang challenging to reach for every single eyeshadow in your collection though. The second way I can gain points is hitting pan in eyeshadows. So I don't have any pan in this palette, but that is a-okay. If for some reason I hit pan in a shade of eyeshadow within a palette, I give myself 5 points for hitting that eyeshadow pan. I did update the number of points for hitting pan. I believe it was 2 last year. That just seemed like not enough points for this project anymore. Again, the way that I approach kind of using my makeup, I'm hitting pan a lot less. I'm using a lot more. So I feel accomplished in a different way now. Another way is to completely finish eyeshadows. I can gain 10 points for finishing an eyeshadow. And that is a 1-to-1 for bringing points, like bringing eyeshadow in and taking points out. So I have updated. So we'll just use this empty pan for an example. So if I finish a pan of eyeshadow like this, I get 10 points. If I bring an eyeshadow pan in, 1 pan is 10 points. I also get points for usage thresholds. So different quantities of usage in my eye bank, I get different point values. If I use one single shade 10 times, I get 1 point for that amount of usage. And the next threshold is 25 uses. So if I use that shade another 15 times to meet 25 uses, I get 2 points rolled into my bank. If I use it another 25 times, I get 3 points rolled into my bank. I am going to add a 75 use threshold into this as well because that jump from 50 to 100 was just a little bit too aggressive last year. I barely hit it. And the point of this project is to continue gaining momentum and feeling like I'm meeting accomplishments. That means using one shade 100 times gives me 5 points now. So I consider 100 uses equivalent to hitting pan in an eyeshadow. And hopefully by those many uses, I will definitely hit pan. But there was shades last year that I used over 100 times and still didn't hit pan. So it really just depends on the shadow. My point tracking resets every 100 threshold. So I can gain points again at the 110, 125, 150, 175, and then the 200, and so on and so on, so I can continue to gain points. Now, we talked about gaining points, so we do need to talk about spending points in this project, and I do have 5 different ways that I spend points. Some of them, it's just like caveats to the spending of points. I really have 3 ways that impact my points, but 2 ways that I can get product without spending my points. So the first general rule is it's a -10 per shade of eyeshadow that comes into my collection. So if I am bringing a 15 pan palette of eyeshadow into my collection, that's 150 points deducted from my eyeshadow bank. So it really is making me think more thoroughly about my choices, and it's making me approach even becoming, because I do allow myself to go into the deficit in this project, but I do have to claw my way out of the deficit at some point. So it's really helped having such a high number of points being deducted from my bank to really understand the scope of what I'm doing in my collection. If I am buying a palette with my Ulta points and getting half off or completely off, any percent off, I only charge myself half the amount of points. So a 15 pan palette with 150 points, what is that, 75 points then are being deducted from my bank. So that's not as terrible. It still definitely is a bit of a gut punch, don't get me wrong, because that's still 75 points or however many points it ends up being. But it does make me think twice about, again, bringing in new eyeshadows into my collection. I also charge myself half the amount of points if I've requested said item as a gift. Like if I'm like, I want this, please buy this for me. I have calculated this coming into my collection, whether it is myself purchasing it or someone else purchasing it. I consider a gift card the same thing as a requested gift. Now, if I were, for some reason, someone just thought kindly and was like, you know what, that looks like something that you would like, Laura, I'm going to get that for you. And I did not ask for item as gift, I do not charge myself points. A gift is a gift, a treat is a treat. Treat it as such. Same thing with PR. I think I've been kicked off of Fantasy Cosmetica's PR list, which is totally fine. However, if for some reason I end up back on their PR list and they end up gifting me items, or if I'm on anyone's PR list and they gift me items, a gift is a gift, a treat is a treat. It's just a nice opportunity for myself, and that's how I view that. Wow, we have been talking for 10 minutes. We're finally done with the rules. I can actually go back in time. Back in December 31st, 2024, we ended up the year with 13 points positive in my eyeshadow low buy bank, which I was really excited about because I spent a large portion of 2024 in the severe negatives. I had bought a palette into my collection first thing in the beginning of the year, which put me negative 100 points. So that was a pretty substantial blow to the eye bank. And then I bought 2 or 3 palettes throughout the year last year. So I was in the negatives quite a lot last year. Anyway, we ended up the year with 13 points positive. I was so happy about that. Now, in January, I did end up making a Yes Style purchase, and I did include 2 single eyeshadows. I had a lot more in my basket initially, and then I really, again, took a step back and thought about how it impacted my eyeshadow bank and how long it was going to take me to claw myself out of a negative 20 deficit. And I didn't want to do that to myself because 20 points seemed a lot more doable, especially because realistically I was only putting myself in like negative 7 points in the bank with my positive points. So throughout the month of January, I ended up no pan left behind. If you missed that video, I will link that, by the way. I hit 3 different no pan left behind, so I gained 3 points that way. I ended up hitting 10 uses in 6 different eyeshadows. It was my Pan That palette. Again, if you missed my Pan That palette, I'll link that as well. And I ended up actually hitting pan in an eyeshadow in January. I really wasn't expecting it. I just kind of put it in because I thought this color looked really good for the month of January, and I ended up hitting pan in this Clionadh single called UV. This is one of my oldest Clionadh singles in my collection. I bought 5 singles when I was trying Clionadh out initially, and this was one of them. And I've always just really enjoyed this eyeshadow shade. It's really pretty. It is a translucent with just a ultraviolet shift to it. It really does jazz up so many different looks. I really enjoyed wearing this topped on top of my Pan That palette, the cooler toned shade in my Pan That palette. So that was really nice. I really enjoyed wearing this in January. All in all, I ended up having 7 points in the positives in January. So I was really excited about that. Now, February, I was doing really good all throughout February. And then something launched at the very end of the month and I ended up snatching it because I really, really thought it was such a beautiful, beautiful palette. And I did really want it, especially because I haven't bought this brand of eyeshadow in a while. And it was full of a very loved formula by me. And that was the Natasha Denona Bloom palette. I don't have it in front of me. I will link my empties video. And then I filmed a few shorts with it too. So I ended up bringing the Natasha Denona Bloom palette. That was a negative 150 points in the bank in February. So again, we are starting off the year pretty severely in the negatives. And I'm annoyed by it. However, I feel like I'm still making really great progress in this project regardless of where we are in the negatives right now. We actually were making a ton of progress throughout February, and it was the end of the month that I totally screwed myself over. First, I just want to say I was very sick in February, so I had a lot less makeup days than normal. So I want to take that into consideration. There were like a good 3 weeks of like very, very minimal makeup use from the end of January to like middle to late February. So my makeup usage was a lot less than normal. However, I feel like I'm like already making up for the lack of usage in February. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. In February, I ended up no pan left behinding 2 different eyeshadow palettes throughout the month. Again, I'm not going to spoil it if you missed that update. You got to check it out. But I did hit some 10 use goals in the month of February, and I do have those in front of me. So I did hit 10 uses in a couple Pan Those eyeshadow shades that were rolled in at like the introduction or maybe the second update. But I ended up hitting 10 uses in this shade here. This was a single shadow in the shade Lush. This competed a little bit for a shade in my Pan That palette, so I really only wanted to focus on it for the 10 uses before just setting it aside so I could focus on my Pan That palette. As well, I really enjoyed this shade wearing with my Pan That palette. This was the shade Conjuration. Again, this was a Pan Those eyeshadows single for 10 uses. This is from Fantasy Cosmetica. It was gifted, but yeah, this was really pretty. I really enjoyed this. This is something that I definitely feel like I could have like a pick-me-up pan, and that is what I consider something that I feel like in my head at least I could hit pan in pretty easily with just like another like handful of focused uses. I feel like I could hit pan in this. The last 10 uses from my Pan Those eyeshadows was a rectangular single, and this was a shade that really grew on me. I didn't like it at first. This is Vision from Natasha Denona Retro. No, My Dream. This is from the My Dream palette, and I didn't like this at first, but it really grew on me. I really like the shift in this now, and it paired really well with another single that's in my Pan Those eyeshadows, so I really did enjoy this one. So 3 more points gained in my eye bank. I ended up hitting 25 uses in 7 shades in February, which was awesome. I was really excited about it. So the majority, 6 of them, so the large majority of them are my Pan That palette. I hit 25 uses in all 6 shades within this palette. Very, very excited about that. I also hit 25 uses in one of the shades I'm trying to finish in my rolling 10 pan, and that is this dark brown loose eyeshadow by BareMinerals. This is only a sample pot, and these take forever to go through. If you've ever used a loose eyeshadow, you know they just take eternity to use, but this was a 25 use as well. So with those 7 shades, that was 14 points added into my bank. So with the negative 150 that we had also, my total for February is negative 124 points. Not great. Not great. I fully admit that. Very much not great. But March, I started to feel better by the end of February and started making a lot of progress towards other goals within this project as well. And I did not bring any eyeshadow into my collection in March, which I'm very proud of. Not that I really, like, anything was really on my radar, but I am still proud that I didn't bring anything new in. And I did, in fact, actually hit no pan left behind in 3 different palettes in the month of March. So that was 3 points gained in my bank. And then I did hit 10 uses in 2 shades within my collection in the month of March. So the first one was one that I rolled in just kind of like on the back burner into like my little pan those eyeshadows. Once I hit 10 uses in Vision, I swapped it out with this shade. And this is the shade Rebellion from the Retro palette. It's just a nice cream to matte or cream to powder matte formula. This is the shade Rebellion. Really, really pretty. I know I didn't like swatch anything except for UV, but this is Rebellion. Really lovely. And then the other shade that I hit 10 uses on, and this is a little bit of a spoiler because I hit it in between the update and now. So if you don't want to spoil anything in my pan those eyeshadows, roll ahead. I will have it on the screen where you can jump ahead. I'll give you a second to get there. But I did end up hitting 10 uses recently on the shade Blaze. I believe this was on the 31st actually of March. I hit 10 uses in this shade. I was really excited about it. I've just been layering this shade like crazy on top of everything really. And this is just such a fun, beautiful, unique. I love that kind of shade so much. It's a more fuchsia version of like a pink gold kind of flip. It has a little bit more like fuchsia magenta in it, but I hit a huge threshold in 3 shades over the past month. March was last month. Yeah. So I actually hit 50 uses in 3 shades within my Pan That palette. I am not going to spoil them because I can talk about that in my Pan That palette update, but 3 shades in here I hit 50 uses on, and I'm really close to 50 uses in the other 3 shades. So I think in April I will at least have 3 more 50 use shades rolling in to the bank, which is good. The last item within this palette that I did end up meeting a goal on is I hit pan on something in this palette. It's that center shade in the palette. If you know, you know. If not, maybe check out my updates. But that I hit pan on, and I'm really excited about that. So that was another 5 points gained in my bank. So I gained a total of 19 points over the course of the past month, and that brings my eye bank total to negative 105. I have a lot of work cut out for me within my eye bank series still. However, I feel like with the progress that I'm making in my Pan That palette, in my rolling 10 pan, I'm really close to finishing the other shade that I'm using in my rolling 10 pan. I'm very close, and I'm really hoping I can do it before the next update for it. I really feel accomplished in this project, and this is really where my focus is this year. It's my Pan That palette and this project. I'm really trying to get this is kind of my low goal for this year, is to get as many eyeshadows to the 10 use threshold as I possibly can. Now, that might mean I'm putting some of the other shades on the back burner by just using them one time if they've already hit the 10 uses. But I'm going to really try to get as many eyeshadows to 10 uses as I possibly can throughout 2025. I don't know how doable that is, but I'm going to try my hardest to reach that on as many things as I possibly can this year. Do you have an over-under that you want to guess on how many shades I will hit 10 uses on this year? Out of, I think I have 600 and something. I have 667 eyeshadows in my collection, including loose, liquid, and pans of eyeshadows within my collection. And yeah, I'm trying to hit 10 uses on as many as I can. I have at least 50 eyeshadows that have hit 10 uses. Let's hope by the end of the year I have 300 eyeshadows with 10 uses. That is my lowball goal for this project. But I really want to continue to gain points. I will eventually claw my way out of the deficit. I do think it's going to take me at least 3 months to completely wipe my deficit away, unless I really start hitting pan and finishing up eyeshadows, which I am not that close to finishing up all that many eyeshadows. Again, this has completely shifted the way that I approach eyeshadow and approach buying new eyeshadow and using my collection. So I'm not feeling like the negative is like anything deterring me in this. It's actually inspiring me to use more of my stuff. So I'm going to keep on keeping on with this project. Let me know if you do something similar to this. I would love to know if it has completely changed your viewpoint on how you consume eyeshadow, and maybe that's changed your mindset on how you consume like makeup products in general, because I feel like it has for me, for sure. When I'm bringing things in, I'm like kind of calculating like how long does it really take me to use that now. But that is it for this video. Long tangent to just wrap this up. So I hope you guys are staying healthy, sane, and safe, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye. Don't have a clue.